Greensburg didn't have anyone even play in 5 games.
Yeah, disappointing.
And you can see that affects definitely on-field play.
And I'll tell you one thing, Red, like we've gone out to the ARU Selects, and obviously you've done very well on that platform. People have seen your talent, and obviously you're a dedicated man. But I often think, is there a huge step? Could I make that step up to D2? And on the field, I feel I could. It's almost off the field is where I couldn't. The D2 players, are they just more dedicated? We always talk about the distance they're travelling. Is that kind of sometimes what it really takes to be a good rugby player? Is your willingness. The fact that you're willing to show up every week. Gator touched on it with the wrestling coming from his background. It wasn't even a thought. You just show up because you're a wrestler. Yeah. I almost think that is the greatest thing to take away from it. In life in general.
I think it's
show
a big
up,
thing.
Be counted, and open your mouth, and you will be fed.
I think it's a big thing. If you want to play that D2 level and you think you can, you have to commit to it. I don't know offhand, but I would be really tough to believe that the Forge didn't have 15 guys that played in every single D2 game.
Yeah.
They definitely, the commitment level is the big thing. It pushes it. Not only that, but then once you have the full team committed, people compete with each other.
Right.
People are like, I can't miss practice,
Yeah.
Joe over there might take my spot.
Exactly.
I don't want to lose my spot. Mm-hmm. And all it does is just drive. Commitment drives so much. And if any team, whether you have the best coach, the worst coach, the best players, the worst players, if you have 25 guys that want to play for those 23 roster spots every week,
makes a hell of a difference.
It's going to make it a big difference.
It does indeed. And talking on numbers and talking on commitment, we're going to move on to Prescal. Prescal, it was a busy day up in Erie this week, Red. The Prescal men followed the women, and we'll touch base on that in a little bit, and they had a rematch of the playoff game of last year where Prescal beat the Rovers 10-7. This year, it was a little bit of weather, it was a bit nicer, a bit sunnier, and it was a big day. The final score was Prescal 24, Cleveland Rovers 36. So the Rovers really avenged last year's loss. They came in, just had a little bit of better numbers. Both teams traded their punches, went into the half-time with PA tight behind the Rovers. It was a close game, but the Prescal came out and scored quickly in the second half, but eventually the Rovers took advantage and having the extra players took the match. That's kind of what you were just talking on. So obviously Prescal are going to be disappointed with their performance, not just in this game, but in the season overall. Prescal lose 24-36 to Cleveland Rovers. But it was a busy day up in Erie, and they have the hashtag One City, Two Clubs. And the Gannon women also played. The Gannon women, it was a great day of rugby, and they started it all off. They hosted Cow U, Bill Marnell's ladies, in a rematch from earlier this season where Gannon bested Cow U. The game started off the same as Gannon jumped on to a 17-point lead in the first half. Cow U fought back in the second half, putting up 2 tries, but Cow U fell short. The final score, Gannon 17, Cow U 10. Tries by a lot of different players. Anna, I could be here all day trying to pronounce these games. Good night. Sierra Bishop. But once again, they are now going off to playoffs, and they wanted me to make it known. Hashtag One City, Two Clubs. They love the hashtags up there. Gator really loves the hashtag.
Gator loves hashtags.
And he's just so not with the technology, I don't really think he understands like what a hashtag does. If I was to say to him, what does a hashtag do, Gator? He's like, I don't know. It's the only way I can kind of describe it. Say, for example, me and Gator live in Missouri, okay? And we've heard there's a gold rush going out in California. And we rush out there. And I'm searching for gold, aka let's boost the podcast, let's put it on Spotify, let's put it on iTunes. And Gator's literally looking through the river for sticks. And I'm like, Gator, yeah, sticks are cool. That's really fun that you're looking for sticks. But they don't help us at all. Let's look for gold. But Gator keeps on focusing on these hashtags. It doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense.
He's stuck on it.
He's stuck in the hashtags.
Let him go.
Now, Red, just in between, obviously last weekend the Quins had a bye week, and that kind of is going to wrap up everything rugby related from last weekend. They're going to be playing next weekend against Northern Virginia. We touch base on the Forge D2. The season's over for you.
Sure is.
You had a fantastic season. You finished as the total point scorer for South Pittsburgh Hooligans.
I got lucky. Our normal kicker went down early.
Yeah.
So I got to kick a lot.
And obviously that normal kicker is me. I challenge you now, Red. I love what you're saying about competition. I feel you currently own the throne of kicker, surely, right? I went off injured. You took your chance. You grabbed it and you held on to it. You got a lot of points.
Bend the knee.
You bet? Yeah, sure. I'm not going to bend the knee. But I will challenge you to a duel. And we can put this on maybe Snapchat. Do you Snapchat? I personally don't.
I do not.
But we can put it out there. I would love for you to say, you know what, as of now, Moss, you fell and I've took your position. And I'm fine with that. I want to challenge you to a kickoff. So when it comes to next season, we can have our little thing. We can say, you know what, Red, you deserve the crown. Keep wearing the crown. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Absolutely.
A little bit of competition. Me versus you. We just go into a field, bag of balls, and it could be a little bit like, let's try 5 from here, 5 from there, 5 from there. Winner gets to hold the crown. And then obviously if my boot is off in the game, I can say, listen, Red, take over there. But that's something you'd be interested in?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. How else do you plan on keeping yourself fit for the next season? Obviously, I was talking to Jason Etzel. The AIU Selects is going to be kicking in. Might be 1 or 2 things going on in the winter months prior to Christmas. But obviously, we got the spring to look forward to. What are you going to do off the field?
It's a crazy concept, but I found that getting into cardiovascular, physical shape, being able to play a good, strong 60 minutes, hopefully 80, makes a world of difference. So I'm going to really focus on my conditioning this winter.
Okay,
I'm going to really push to be able to go 80 minutes full tilt. That's the goal.
And how do you plan on doing that?
Just a lot of workouts, reach out to, contacts that I may have from years past that play at higher levels and say, hey, what do you guys do?
Okay.
What do you guys do in the off season?
So you're not just going to go into LA Fitness and work your chest and do your squats.
No,
you might do that, but you're thinking you want to be physically fit for rugby.
Yep. I want to do a lot of running, and not just straight running, interval running, a lot of stuff that's rugby. We're not jogging around for 80 minutes.
And I have a great little antidote. I had a friend and she was doing a marathon, right? And she was always on the treadmill. Brilliant. She was always putting the miles in. And then she went and she ran around the track. Okay? And brilliant. She was putting the miles in. And she'd done her 26 miles. She'd followed her program and she was ready. She'd done 26 miles. It was on a track there. She then did Pittsburgh Marathon. And if you know anything about Pittsburgh, you know it's not flat. And she just kind of says, as silly as the sound, I wasn't ready for the hills. And I kind of thought to myself, yeah, that is kind of silly. That is kind of, you've prepared, but you've kind of almost prepared incorrectly. So sure, jumping on the squat machine, fantastic. Going on the treadmill, great. But you want to move lateral. You want to get down, get up.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
That's
brilliant. Cool. And it's just kind of, I'm at a little bit of a realisation in my life. I'm 32 now, Red. I probably, the natural ability that I had was just my speed is kind of somewhat gone now. I can't really just rely on that. I feel I need to kind of break myself down. I need to get back to basics. May I join you in this workout routine? Can we become the 2 greatest players south of Pittsburgh?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Anyone can join us.
Anyone can.
Anyone can. If we're going for a run, hey, I don't care.
Yeah. Just not Gator.
Just not Gator.
Just not Gator.
He's fit enough.
He is. Now, talking on Gator, he's away this week. He
is.
Might be back next week. He might have a studio to come back to. The doors might be locked. I'm not sure. He really upset me with his co-host recommendation. Now,
I have a way to solve this.
Okay.
I know how we're going to solve this. I brought you a quiz. If Gator is a true co-host of yours, truly cares.
Because at this point, I'm closing the laptop, Red. We've touched base on all the rugby. Forge, big game this weekend in Pittsburgh.
Forge.
I pick Forge as well.
I pick Forge.
Yes. The Forge women, big game.
I pick Forge.
I pick Forge as well. Come on, Scout Cheeks. Bring home. There's another lot of good guests that I want to have on the podcast who are Forge related with the women team. Coach, a lot of other players. But yeah, that's our rugby touched base on. Gannon, best of luck. Robert Morris, best of luck against Slippery Rock once again. Now,
we are going to determine if Gator's right for you.
Ooh.
How well do you know and love your Gator?
Well,
in other words,
I'll start. I don't love him. I don't even like him. I tolerate him.
How well has he made it known what he is into and what he likes?
Okay.
Quiz time. This is for you.
Okay. And listeners, you can listen and you can play along. I'll give it a 5-second break before I answer.
1 point for every question right. How well do you know your Gator? Question number 1. What is Gator's favorite movie?
If I know Gator... So I think it's such a cliche. A lot of people say, I love Shawshank Redemption. I think that's cliche. I think Braveheart is cliche. So I think Gator might have said one of them 2 movies. I will say Gator thinks his favourite movie is Braveheart. But deep down, Gator's favourite movie is Notebook or Magic Mike. Okay. But he will say Braveheart is his favourite movie.
Braveheart is not his favorite movie.
Was it Shawshank?
It was not Shawshank.
Okay.
Believe it or
Oh,
not.
he loves comic books.
Believe it or
Yeah,
not.
go on.
Our host here, Morris Collins, was right with Magic Mike.
Was I?
Magic Mike.
I just
Gator's
thought
favorite movie.
Gator's ego might say, I can't say Magic Mike's my favourite movie.
Have you seen him at a club?
I have, but I was hoping that was ironic.
Question number 2. If Gator could have one superpower, what would it be?
Gator could have one superpower. I think Gator's one superpower would be... I wish he knew what good fashion was. I wish Gator could look in the mirror and decide, you know what, I don't look good when I'm wearing these grandfather shoes and these jeans I bought in Walmart. I think that's what he wishes, because clearly he doesn't understand what fashion is. He probably would say flying.
So, you are not correct.
Okay.
But you are close.
Okay.
He could use the superpower that he wants to get into Norman Reedus' head, to get into a Gucci model's head.
Okay.
He wants to be able to read people's minds. I think it is known as telepathy.
It is. Okay. 0 for 0.
Question number 3.
How many questions is there?
5.
Brilliant. I could do this all night.
What is Gator's favorite holiday?
Gator loves Halloween because Gator has a really good body, and Halloween allows him to get his body out. So Gator's hands down Halloween.
That is correct.
Yes, I knew it. I was talking to someone, and I was talking about this podcast. I was like, I have a co-host. And they're like, oh, who's your co-host? I was like, oh, my friend Gator. And this is a friend who isn't part of rugby, but comes to Halloween parties. And I was like, he's like, Gator, who's Gator? I was like, oh, you know Gator. He's always got his six-pack out for Halloween. You know, he's like, oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, okay. So that was 1 point for me. Brilliant.
Question number 3.
Yeah.
Who is Gator's favorite comedian? Now, I asked this because I know you guys went and saw Brendan Schaub.
We did.
Not too long ago. And I saw Bert Kreischer this past Sunday. So I figured, let's get some comedian there. Who is Gator's favorite comedian?
Hoof. Gator's favorite comedian. Now, that's a niche question. Because I did listen to Brendan Schaub's stand-up special. But I'm a fan of podcasting. I think stand-up comedy is a very hard art form. Mm-hmm. I would think Gator would say... Who's the guy who... the cable guy. Larry the Cable Guy.
Incorrect.
Jim Carrey. He loves just physical comedy.
Incorrect. Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
Bill
Burr's got a bit of substance to him.
Yeah, he does. Which Gator doesn't.
It's
amazing.
He leads that he doesn't. I think there's... Gator's like an onion. I think there's shells under Gator.
I agree.
Next question.
I agree. And the 5th and final question. We got to do one rugby related.
Yeah.
What is Gator's favorite position?
I would think, just because you were talking about smash, playing scrum half, and it's literally get the ball to smash as much as possible, Shane Jordan, I almost feel Gator might say scrum half, simply because he wants to control the game as much as possible. But then I feel he could also think he's wasted because he's not enough tackling. I'll say he will say fly half as his... Even though I think a flanker would be a fantastic position for Gator, I think he will say fly half.
He did not say fly half.
Oof.
He said number 12. Inside center.
Inside centre. The only thing I think with Gator is when you're playing big boy rugby and you got a much bigger boy, even though Gator's a fantastic tackler, I think that could really wear his body down.
I think so too. Which why 12 I think is pretty perfect for him.
Yeah.
He can run the ball. He can run it hard. He's got a good fend. Mm-hmm. But defensively, he loves hitting people. And that 12, if he comes up there fast, he can...
He will. And he's a great tackler.
Very
Obviously,
good.
I won't say it to
Very,
his
very
face, yeah. But he loves the wrestling. This has been Top of the League podcast, where we touched base on the vast majority of rugby from last weekend. Once again, Gator does much of this busybody work. He's literally Charlie. He cleans the bar, he burns trash to keep the furnace going. I just provide the technology. You know, that's it. That's what Gator is really missing. But Red, thank you ever so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you enjoyed your Miller High Life. I will hopefully see you at Forge Day up in Philip Murray Playground, where we will both be supporting their D2 quest to bring rugby
Absolutely.
home. Once again, this is the Top of the League podcast, available on all platforms. From me and my co-host, good night.